Thank you. Why do all you guys come here, by the way? Is this like some kind of class? They make you guys come? All right. Just want you guys to be honest. I do things like that all the time with my students. So the first thing that we're supposed to talk about is how you survived your first year of teaching, and that's an awfully big presumption to assume that I actually survived my first year of teaching. I never really felt that way during the first year. Your first year of teaching is kind of like a video game that's really hard, and I died on the same level every single time. And eventually the game just got tired of watching me fail and said, all right, you get to move on to the next level, which is my second year. But I never really felt like I mastered anything. So, by the way, I just want you guys to know this will not even remotely approach anything close to a coherent story. So don't be disappointed. But one of the things that it's important for you guys to know is that you do need to end up being good teachers. Otherwise, your students will grow up to be rappers. I've been teaching for 9 years, by the way. I'd like to think it doesn't look like it, but maybe it does. I don't know. I had an adversarial relationship with him. And that was because I walked into an inner city school where I was like the only new teacher, and there was like a bunch of grizzled veterans, and the first thing they said was, don't put up with this, don't put up with that, if they do this, and send them out, send them out. So my first day of school, I came in like I was ready for war, okay? I think I actually wore black, all black on that first day. And I know I wasn't the only one either, so I was ready to go. But I since found out that is not the way to do it, because you cannot possibly win, okay? I'd like to lie to you and say there's 24 of them. There's not gonna be 24, there's gonna be 34, 35, but then in one class, the next class is gonna leave, and another class of 32, 33 is gonna come in there. You can't win. And they're there every single day, and they can take turns getting on your nerves. But you're the same person every single day. So they can tag team, like, all right, I'm gonna get on today, then you can do it tomorrow. It's just gonna add up, and you can't possibly win. My first year, there was a student named Jadavian. And Jadavian had this presence that even when he wasn't around, you could still feel him. Like, I could feel him behind, I feel like he might go to school here. I feel him right now. I hope he's not here, because I'm about to talk about him. But my first experience with Jadavian is I got my class roster, and an older teacher was like, let me see your roster. She looks on her, she's like, Jadavian's still here? I'm like, yeah, it looks like I teach him after lunch. And she says, whoa, and just starts walking away. So that was my first experience with Jadavian. And the class comes in, first day of school, this is August, and I'm ready for Jadavian. Like, I've heard all the stories, and there's a kid who comes in, immediately he's on the run, okay? Smacking people in the back of the head, yelling, screaming, and I'm like, Jadavian, that's -5. I work at a school that has this kind of incentive system that's like money. You can give money or you can take money. Guess what I did my first year? I was taking money, like a rap video on verse. So I'm like, Jadavian, that's -5. He's like, my name's not Jadavian, my name's Keyshawn. And I'm like, all right, Keyshawn, -5. He's like, I don't care, F them shows, F them vibes, okay? So I did this for probably like 2-3 weeks. And at some point, my principal texts me, because my school gives us phones, so they can keep tabs on us at all times. So he texts me, and she's like, hey, Keyshawn's mom is here. She wants to talk to you about why you've been, taking so many dollars away. I'm like, oh, by all means, where is Keyshawn's mom? Because I was ready for that too. So I go into the room to meet with Keyshawn's mom, and Keyshawn's not there. So I'm like, hey, here's what he's been doing. Keyshawn's been doing this, Keyshawn's been doing that. She's like, I've literally never heard any of this from any teacher ever before. I'm like, I would beg to differ, because he been here last year, and they have all kinds of stuff to say about it. They're like, why don't you just go ahead and call Keyshawn down? So they get on the horn, call Keyshawn down. Before Keyshawn gets there, like one of his friends gets there. It's like this tall, lanky, light-skinned kid named Charles. And I'm like, it's weird, Charles is here. And Charles walks in the room, and Keyshawn's mom turned to Charles and said, "Keyshawn, why you been acting up in class?" And I'm like, what does he just call him? And he's like, "I haven't done anything in class. I don't know what's going on. And I literally don't do anything with my work." And that was true. Charles always did his work. I guess I should probably stop calling him Charles now. And basically, what that kid was like Jadavian. And I had been calling him Keyshawn the entire 3 weeks. And people have been going along with it because he's charismatic and can get people to go along with that kind of stuff. And I had such an adversarial relationship with the rest of the class that nobody thought to say, "Hey, this kid that you've been calling Keyshawn is actually Jadavian." And I've been taking dollars away from like Charles the whole time. So basically, I had to explain myself, and I came clean. I'm like, "I really thought your name was Charles." And they're like, "Where did you get Charles from? Like, we don't even have a Charles in the class." And I was like, "Where did I get Charles from?" I think I might have heard somebody say that. It might have been one of those things that they thought was funny and give me, and it worked. So you don't want to have an adversarial relationship with the class. What you really want to do is remember what you were like at that age and what would have made a big difference to you. So I'm gonna take it back, not too far back because I'm not that old, but I'm gonna take it back to when I was in school. I was pretty lucky growing up. I went to a special school. I had to take a test to get in there, and then when we got in there, it was like advanced placement. We had small class sizes and everything. We didn't have worksheets. We were walking around the school doing a bunch of projects or whatever. So I felt very lucky. Even at that age, I knew hey, this is a big deal that I get this opportunity. Which is really cheering me up like that. There were other classes in the school though, other, bigger classes of the normal kids. So we would, kind of be like, "Ha, look, you guys don't get to do what we're doing." But there was one of the normies that I liked. Her name was Crystal. Brown skin, she had big old brown eyes, and she had really natural hair before everybody was kind of doing that. And I had a crush on her. So one day we're walking in the hallway, and I'm walking past Crystal and her, class of normal kids, and I just wanted to impress her, "Hey, look what we're doing. We're walking around the school, taking measurements or whatever." So I'm walking up, I'm showing her all the cool tools we're working with and things like that. And she turns to one of her friends in this loud, cackling voice that I'll never forget. And she says, "Look, y'all, here comes a retarded class." And I just look back, I'm like, is that what this is? Is that what I've been doing the whole time? Is that why there's 6 of us, and 2 teachers in here? And is that why we're out and about not doing this? I guess it is weird that we're measuring things in 6th grade, but I didn't really think about it at that time. And at that point, I kind of turned into it. I really didn't do any more work in school, and that was my coping mechanism to basically, hide the fact that I thought at that point I was inferior. And that kind of stuck with me for a really long time. So fast forward to where I'm teaching now. As it turns out, Jadavian had the same coping mechanism. I figured out that whenever we got to a point in class where we were doing writing or any kind of comprehension exercise, he would find an excuse to get sent out. So I taught history, most of it's lecture. It's me sitting there talking at him. I would like to think I'm a pretty charismatic type teacher. People typically don't get bored to death by me. And he would be in there and fine for most of that, which is weird because the lecture part where they're not doing anything is typically the part where kids act up the most. The second those papers and pencils come out, Jadavian was going to find some reason to get sent out. And it never dawned on me that that's what he was doing. Now, I feel like a veteran teacher, like, of course, obviously that's what he's doing. But nobody told me that. As a matter of fact, most of the stuff they told me when I was learning to be a teacher was BS. Sorry, like, I know we're at a school and you guys are learning to become a teacher, but it's just the honest truth. So, once I figured that out, you know, I had to come to Jesus moment, or whoever your particular guy is. I had to come to Jesus moment with Damien, and we like actually talked about like what his, you know, particular problems were in the class, and things ended up getting a lot better. I would come to him when I wanted a question asked, but I would ask him first to make sure he knew it, so then I could call on him in front of the class, and they'd be like, oh look, Damien knows the answer to stuff. And you know, most of the time he actually did, because he was a smart kid, you know, if he would just try. So remember the way that you were in that grade. And also, it'll help you out too, because you'll learn things about your teachers. For example, like, your teachers did put you in a group with that kid you had a crush on purpose. Okay? We're here for 9 months out of the year, we get bored. Sometimes we just want to see stuff, right? Like, but keep that in mind as you guys are in your little head, like when you are thinking about what it's going to be like as a teacher. It's not going to be what you picture it as, okay? It's not going to be like the magic school bus. She's only got 8 kids in that class. They've never signed a single permission slip to go anywhere. So, and when you think about like what TV teaching is like, it touches on serious things, but on the surface level. So I hate to break it to you, if you get placed at inner city school, your kids are not just going to automatically invest in you as a teacher because you tell them that hip hop is really poetry. They already know that, right? However, there is a serious lesson in that if you do take the time to invest in the things that your students care about, things will be a lot easier for you. For me, I found that my kids really like sports. Let's tell you this last story, and then I'm gonna leave. In my first year, I had an adversarial relationship with a kid that we've already established, and I believed in keeping it real. And I probably kept it too real. So one of the things that really annoyed me is when we ask kids what they want to be, and they put basketball player or NFL player. Because I'm a teacher, it's great if you're a good hooper, it's great if you're good at football. However, you're not that good at football, and you're not that good at basketball. And I felt like it was my responsibility to let them know. So what I noticed that other teachers were doing was like, okay, well, if you're gonna be a basketball player, you still need to know how to sign your contracts. You still need like a backup plan. And I'm like, listen, you go to KIPP, Indianapolis, and we are 6 and 8 on this season, and you didn't make that team in middle school as an 8th grader. Like, basketball's over with for you. You don't need a backup plan, you need a plan. Basketball is not it. Sorry, nobody else is gonna tell you, I'll be the one to tell you. And that was a very quick way to lose investment. Now, I stand by what I said, right? He's not going to the NBA. Like, that was 9 years ago. Like, that movie has that ship has sailed. Like, he's basically in college now, and he's not playing basketball. So that's over. But crushing their dreams, even if there's a little bit of truth in it, doesn't get you anywhere. And a lot of people like to show kids the real world too soon. And you lose something. Because I taught 4 grades. And what I've noticed is in 5th grade, when I ask kids, how many of you guys consider yourself to be athletes? They'll all raise their hand. How many of you guys consider yourself to be artists? They'll all raise their hand. How many of you guys consider yourselves to be, you know, this or that? They'll all raise their hand. The more grades that I go up and I ask those questions, the more they start to specialize. The amount of people that identify as an artist goes down. The amount of people that identify as an athlete goes down. But they can still technically be those things. And I realized that it's school that makes them feel like they have to specialize. Like, that's not a lesson that life taught them. That's a lesson that I taught them. And I didn't realize that I was wrong about this until literally a year ago. The first group of kids that I taught are now college students. And one of them had a big old growth spurt, ended up being 6'9", and is now a Division I basketball player. And I definitely told him and his entire class that none of them were ever going to be Hoopers. And life has a funny way of teaching you things, and I guess it's not really that funny. It's the most obvious possible way to teach it to me. But, you know, I learned this lesson when I saw him at an AAU game. Because I live in Westfield, and there's a big old sports complex up there, and there's like, they have IUPUI circuit up there. And I was at one of the AAU games, and I'm like, Anthony? He's like, Mr. Pillow. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm playing basketball. I'm like, you can play here? I guess you can. And he was getting offers from all kind of power conference schools, like, not like mid-major schools, like real schools. Like, I went to Kentucky, there was a Kentucky assistant coach there, and he was talking to him. So, you know, joke's on me. I guess the rapper in my class is right. Maybe I am a fool. But just keep in mind that you're doing more than teaching them, like arithmetic, social studies, whatever you're supposed to be teaching them. You're teaching them what their possibilities can be in life, and that's your responsibility too. When they close off those possibilities to themselves, you'll find that all of a sudden your class gets more difficult to manage. So that's my biggest tip for surviving your first year of school.
All right, our next storyteller is